Good morning. Welcome to the Uncommon Truth and journeying with us as we pursue purpose and the principles of energy, health, and performance. Today, Bob and I are beginning a new journey, and we really want to seek the uncommon truth about energy, about health, and about performance. How do we manage these? How do we improve on these? And Bob and I have some serious questions to ask around these 3 points as we begin this new journey that we've decided to venture on together, Bob. So I'm going to just throw it right to you right now. Hit us with some of these key questions that you and I have been discussing and some of the symptoms that are happening in our life as leaders as we're striving to be and live an uncommon form of life.
Heath, good morning, bud. It is a new adventure we're on, right? Each day is a new adventure for us in terms of energy and health and performance, because we both know that it's a collection of the things we do each and every day that gives us the strength and the focus to go on that day and actually do the stuff we want to do each and every day. So when you talk to leaders in organizations, and we do this a lot, you and I, you find that when you're discussing with people, they say things like, my stomach's been upset lately. I've been feeling a little tired lately. I've been, wish I had more focus. The days seem long. People will say certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Heath, you and I both know that our bodies are like batteries, and that we need to recharge our batteries. And the way we recharge our batteries is by eating properly, by hydrating, by taking the time to recover when we expend energy. And what most leaders don't realize is the massive amount of energy it takes to lead. When you're using your mind, when you're dealing with situations that require decisions, when you're managing stress, when you're managing conflict, these all rapidly drain our batteries. And the result is the symptoms of a body that's tired, a mind that's not focused, and limits our ability to do what we want to do at work, and then with our spouses, with our children, in our communities later in the day. So that's what energy health management is all about. And some of the symptoms that people feel when their batteries are running low.
Yeah, I think just to expand on some of these symptoms that I've experienced extensively in my life at different times. So one is thirst. I'm just thirsty, whether I'm out on a walk or, you wake up in the morning and you just got pasty mouth and you're just always drinking. And then, that ultimately leads to, especially as we just have to go to the washroom more often, and these are just simple things, but you go through a meeting and you got to get up and leave and you go to the washroom, right? In the middle of a meeting, and where you never had to do that before, to a headache that just seems to be a dull thud. And we think, it's just coffee that we haven't had, or, hey, I could go on with the effects of stress of life that happen as a leader of running different businesses, and it just causes a drain on our energy. And as you said, the battery that our body is. And if we're not treating our body well, or managing our energy and making sure that we're getting the sleep that we need, that we're not giving ourselves the water and the nutrition that we've talked about before, then there is an effect on us in our health.
I just feel like my arms are lead, my legs are lead, that I don't want to move. Getting out of the chair is difficult, right?
Yeah.
Their joints ache. Walking up a flight of stairs is exhausting. It's like, I don't want to go up those flight of stairs. It's too much effort. So
yeah, how about even just our vision? At times I've noticed, just like, man, my eyes are just going. I need to refocus and or even, heaven forbid, start to use some reading glasses.
So, man, if you're 42 years old and you're feeling heavy, you're feeling sluggish, and your stomach's upset, and you have no strength, you don't have the strength that you should have. Those are all symptoms of something's wrong. Something's neat. We haven't been doing the right things. Our batteries are not fully charged. A lot of
It's
us, and I'm speaking from experience here because I used to be quite an elite athlete, climbing mountains and playing hockey and running, et cetera, right? And it got away from me for quite a few years, and because you focus on other things. So a lot of the stuff that I'm saying is actually just me reflecting on what I used to feel like. So,
well, it's I've got quite a story and a journey all around, because all of these symptoms are things that I felt in my life. And for me, they all happened right around when I was 25. And a lot of it was stress, right? We talk about stress so easily and so, oh, I'm just stressed. Well, the truth is we're all affected by 5 different types of stress, Bob, as you and I've been studying that, everything from physical, mental, emotional, the environmental aspects of where we're working, we're playing, and the social elements of who we're around. Well, we got to manage all of these things, and we all do every single day of our life. But the biggest part is we're spending energy on it, and we're not taking into the fact that we actually need to give ourselves rest and recovery and time to recharge in all these 5 areas as well. And I think what for me happened is I joined the club of one of the most invisible disabilities or conditions that exist in life. And I ended up going blind. I lost 40 pounds in a month. I experienced every one of those: thirst. I experienced fatigue. I was taking naps in the middle of the day. And I have friends that are in their 40s experiencing this. And long-winded way of saying that we are actually in a really serious, I'm going to use the word pandemic, globally right now. And it's an invisible pandemic. It's not COVID. It's not some swine flu. It's been something that's been growing rapidly over the last decade that's changing our world. It's called diabetes. 1 in 3 North Americans are affected by this invisible condition, this invisible disability. And in Canada, there's 11 million people living with the effects of diabetes, whether they're a pre-diabetic, which is just their body starting to show the effects and have what's called an impaired glucose tolerance and resistance to their insulin in their body. It could be type 2, where they're actually diagnosed, or as I am, I'm a type 1. That's only 10% of all the diabetics out there, but it's insulin dependent. In other words, if I don't take insulin, I die.
That's because, and Heath, that's because your pancreas isn't doing the job anymore. Is that correct? Type 1?
Yeah, correct. In the simple terms, basically, type 1 is an autoimmune deficiency, which basically the islet cells have been destroyed within the pancreas. The pancreas is a really complex organ. It creates all kinds of hormones, and I am not a medical doctor, but it is the only organ that they've just begun to experiment with full transplants on. And they actually don't take out your pancreas, they add a second one when they do this process. But it's not, life is not sustainable without the pancreas, period. So all the symptoms we just talked about, if anybody out there is experiencing any of those symptoms, they should be going in and getting a checkup with their doctor and asking to have a blood test to check their A1C, because all of those symptoms are related to glucose management and high blood sugar in their system. So the reason you and I have chosen to sort of go on this journey and talking about leaders and they're really affected and have a massive impact in our world. And this condition is affecting our leaders due to the stress of life.
Yeah, and
So
it's almost cyclical, right? So as you age, you you know, your energy levels you need to keep recharging your battery as you go through life, and it's a marathon. So if your batteries start to wear down, what happens is you get fatigued. You don't want to exercise anymore. Perhaps you start to eat a little bit more. You know, we're all introduced to alcohol at some point in our lives too. So that's a you know, hundreds of extra calories into our diets as well. And so it's a cycle over time of less energy, more sitting around with technology, more sitting around because we're tired, um, eating probably stuff that we shouldn't be eating, drinking stuff that maybe we shouldn't be drinking so much of. And over time, what happens is you get heavier and heavier and heavier as well,
correct.
right? Which leads to more and more fatigue.
We all feel them. It doesn't mean that if you're feeling these that you're a diabetic,
No.
but we need to be aware that our body is always trying to communicate with us. It's always telling us through our feelings and through different things what is going on within our body. And uh, as you've mentioned, rest is critical, but too much rest or couchitis will cause us to have uh, a decrease in health. We will become more fatigued with too much rest.
And
And
the other interesting thing about the rest thing is, right, if we feel fatigued, we often think we've got to rest. So we rest thinking we're recharging our batteries. In fact, maybe it's not
correct.
the rest at all. Maybe it's what you've eaten, right? Or we haven't consumed water that day. So it's like, well, that causes fatigue too. So it's almost like we misdiagnose it. So it's like, I got to rest. I got to have a nap. But you're dehydrated. You haven't eaten well as well. So that's the complicated thing about managing the battery, managing your energy. Is it's a multifaceted issue.
Absolutely. And these are the types of things we're going to start to bring experts on in these different areas and topics to help us as we journey on this, in seeking this uncommon health that we want to achieve, both you and I and our own lives. But how do we help people really to understand how to create more energy, how to take control of their health and to empower them to really perform in life? And I think for us, we just need to address a few key points for today of what is it that we're really, and why is it that we're wanting to journey down this road together to really help people. And I think I'm just going to give some, for as far as I'm concerned, startling facts. I said earlier that there's over 450 million people globally that are affected by diabetes, but diabetes is in the top 10 causes of death. It's number 7 to be exact right now. And it's one of the few that's actually racing and climbing the ladder of causes. The top 2 are heart disease and heart attacks, and 2 is stroke. Both of those are diminishing. And diabetes is a major cause of those. 30% of strokes and over 40% of heart attacks are diabetes related. And, we look at even just the thought of amputation. Over 70% of amputations, lower body amputations, are a result of diabetes. And this is just a few of the facts. And I think that what we really need to dig into is, what is it that is helping this condition, this disease, to grow at such a rate? We're talking about between 2012 and 2016, 4 years, over 5% growth in cases globally. And this is something that, as you can tell, I'm very passionate about, because I live with this every day. And it's something I wouldn't wish on my enemy. The amount of energy it takes to manage it and to have to be conscious of everything that I do is something that I wish I could help prevent. And type 2, 90% of diabetics are not type 1. Type 1 is only 10%. So in Canada, just over 1 million people have type 1 diabetes. That's insulin dependent, where they have to be managing medicine, exercise, food, and it's a very complex level of diabetes. But you can live an uncommon life and do extraordinary things, even with type 1 diabetes. But really, 90% of diabetics can reverse it, put it into a place of management where it doesn't control their life to that extent. And we can have a serious impact on improving energy, improving health and the things we're capable of doing, extending life, and ultimately performing at a level that is really uncommon. And quite honestly, I'm proud to say that, you know, as a type 1 diabetic, I'm doing things that most able-bodied people aren't able to do. But that's been a choice to manage my energy, to take ownership of my health, and to decide that I want high performance. I want uncommon form of life. So Bob, what are some of the questions that you feel we need to really ask and walk out and find the answers to with our audience and just people in general?
You know, one of the questions that I think our audience members would like to have answered is, what is the science? What is the science behind energy health?
Right.
Because we know that more and more knowledge is being generated in the world. What is the science behind what does it take to get rid of these symptoms? What's the science behind losing weight? What's the science behind getting more mental focus? What's the science behind making good choices? What's the science behind making good decisions? And it's not so much just a hit and miss thing and a trial and error thing as it is understanding what the truth is, the uncommon truth about how the brain works, how habits work, how rituals work, how nutrition works, how hydration works, how exercise works, all those pieces, how they all work together. And, you know, the other fascinating thing is we both know there's so much knowledge in the world, but a lot of it isn't true. And there's tons that isn't true in this particular area. There's just so much stuff out there that is just, it's scams, right? It's scams, it's shams, it's almost laughable. But we'll be sharing knowledge from experts, knowledge from studies that work. And
I'm really excited about some of the people we'll be having on. You know, like I think of Olympian Chris Jarvis, who's a type 1 diabetic and was at the Athens Olympics representing our country, Canada. And I Challenge Diabetes as an organization, which he founded to really help type 1 diabetics realize that they can move forward and live an adventurous life and just do the ordinary things, that everything is possible and we can move possible to probable just by changing those rituals, those habits, the thinking and the beliefs that you just talked about, Bob, our mindset, you know, and really moving with science, what's going on in our head into our heart and our beliefs and right into our hands of action that we can do. I think of Dr. Sean Richardson and his whole PhD on high performance and energy health, and he'll be coming on and really helping our audience learn more about that and working with us in helping drive the energy health science and performance forward. I'm thinking of gentlemen like Ryan Walters and leadership experts on how their mindsets and how our health changes culture within organizations. And the list goes on from our fitness and health experts to nutrition and on and on. The list I could talk for hours on of people that are excited about journeying with us to help empower people in, you know, the pursuit of the principles for energy, health, and performance. So, Bob, it's really just about an introduction today to people about this little shift that we're making in our lives and how we really want to help empower people in these areas. I'd really like to welcome people to join us and to really seek the truth. As you said, there's things that are said that are not always truthful out there, that's being pumped at us into our brains through the phone, through our mobile apps, our the TV, etc. That's really what we want to bring, Bob, right? That we want to bring the uncommon truth to people around energy, health, and performance.
Yeah, and Heath, when we're talking about leaders and organizations, leaders in families, leaders in communities, one of the rules of leadership, fundamental rule, is lead by example. It is a matter of knowing what the issues are. It's a matter of your habits and rituals. It's a matter of your mindset. So if we can help out leaders in our communities in any way, shape, or form, that'd be a terrific thing for us to be doing. So looking forward.
And yeah, and I'm excited about us bringing the uncommon diabetic life, right, to people here as we begin this journey to really help people live an uncommon form of life. And anybody who is affected, whether they're personally living with diabetes or as a family member or as a teacher, as an educator, as an employer, you are in a leadership role and can just transform and impact people by helping them understand that they can do it and that they're able to live just an exceptional form of life as this, and not to allow it to affect their mind, their body, and their spirit in a negative way, but that you're going to learn with them and walk along. So I thank you for joining us today as we just briefly touched on the direction that we're going together, Bob. And we welcome you as we begin to join us as we journey to really pursue aggressively the principles of energy, health, and performance with you. So thanks for joining us today. And you can check us out at www.theuncommontruth.life or under The Uncommon Truth on any of the audio apps out there and on social media, Facebook and YouTube. Until next time, God bless. Thank you, Bob.